All right, so when we add integers, we looked at 3 different scenarios. Okay, so the first one we have is if we're adding, say, a -2 plus 3. Okay, that's our first scenario. And the first number is negative. Now we're going to use black chips to represent negative numbers, and we're going to use our red chips to represent positive numbers. Now I believe in your textbook the blue chips are the negative ones. Okay, it doesn't really matter. But to model this situation, I'm going to first draw the first number. Okay, so I'm going to start with 2 negative chips. So 1, 2 negative chips. And then I'm going to add 3 positive chips. 1, 2, 3 positive chips. So all I'm doing is I'm drawing out -2 and +3. Okay? Then what happens is, when we discussed in class, is that 1 positive and 1 negative makes 0. 1 positive and 1 negative makes 0. So now all I'm left with here is a +1, and that would be my answer. Now another thing we talked about, and we looked at a thermometer. Okay, so you can look at a number line vertically, or you can look at a thermometer. Start 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Then we say, okay, if you want to represent this on a number line, this is your starting point. So you start at -2. So we're going to put our green dot there. And then what we're doing is we're adding, and since the 3 is positive, positive numbers are considered warm. So we're going to actually be we're going to be adding warmth, which means it's going to get hotter in this room. If it's getting hotter, we're moving up. If it's getting colder, we're moving down. So because it's getting hotter by 3, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, up. Number line, which is +1, which is the same number we got the first time. Now, if we wanted to just do this mathematically, we could do it on our head, say -2 plus 3. You got to go up 2 to get to 0. And then you go up 1 more to go up 3, and that's at +1. Okay? Basically, you'd be doing this representation in your head. But we also said with addition, you can flip stuff around. So -2 plus 3 is the same thing as saying 3 minus 2, which is +1. Okay? They mean the same thing. I can switch numbers around when I'm adding or subtracting integers. Because it's going to mean the same amount, okay? When I am subtracting, that is the time when I cannot switch stuff around, right? So that would be our first situation. Our second situation is when I have 3 plus -2. All right, so again, I'm going to draw out my 3 positive chips, and then I'm going to draw out my 2 negative chips. I swap them out, and I'm left with +1. Or I draw my thermometer. I start at 3. Okay, I start at this first number here. So I start at the 3. And then here, I'm going to be adding, and the negative numbers are cold. Okay, so if I'm adding cold, it's going to get colder here. So I'm going down 2. 1, 2. And I finish at +1, just like my first value. And then finally, we have our final situation, -3 plus -2. Okay, now we could do that using a thermometer, or we can use that, show that using integer chips. So I'm going to have 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3 negatives. I'm going to add 2 more negatives, 2 negatives. So if you notice, I don't have anything to cancel out. I don't have any zeros because I don't have any red chips. I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black chips, or 5 negatives. So -3 plus -2 is -5. If I did it on my number line, I start at -3, so I'm going to put my dot there. And then I'm adding cold. If I'm adding cold, it's going to get colder in here, so I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down by 2. 1, 2. And I end up at -5. Okay? When you have 2 negative numbers, really what you're doing is you're going 3 plus 2. Well, that's 5. And then we know if both are negative, our answer is also going to be in the negative region, okay, because it's just getting colder. And those are 3 possible scenarios when we are adding or subtracting.